So I came across this problem in my game where players with a lower graphics quality could see through shadows and see players as well, which of course gives them an unfair advantage. So upon seeing this, my first thought was to create my own lighting system that calculated a shadow map based on the objects blocking rays of light. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, but here is the first prototype, which is just a semicircle. So this next picture shows the first test where obstacles were placed and tried to generate shadows, or sort of like traces.
Alright, so basically this is what I was thinking. Because light sources usually move like this and go around and hit objects like this, what I wanted was to make a system that would trace these interferences. So if there's objects going over here and one right here, it would trace it all and make this weird irregular shape. And what this shape does is it serves as a blueprint for where you can see. So if you get like a bunch of shapes like and you get like maybe that's a shape that's a light source, and this is a light source too. This is a light source too. All of these light sources would combine until like this. So that creates, instead of 3 irregular shapes, it's just one giant irregular shape. And this is the visibility. This is where the player can see. So if the player is right here, then they'll just see all this stuff. However, maybe the player has a flashlight and they're over here. If you have a flashlight, all you're going to see in the darkness is just the fog and whatever your flashlight can reach. But if you have a flashlight and you look into a light source, then the shapes will combine and it'll become this giant shape where you can see everything over here. Plus, you can see this stuff. Which is pretty cool, actually.
And yeah, so I don't know why I did that though, because the main problem was that people with low graphics quality would have an unfair advantage. But if I followed through with this, then I feel like that system might cause a lot of lag. Anyways, in this picture I incorporated the other half of the circle and made it a little bit more organized. My main idea for this shadow map system was to build a sphere by creating slices.
I called it the blueprint system, and basically, let's take this. This is the center or the light source, and there's some objects. To generate a sphere, what I did was, like this is a sideways view. Generate slices of a sphere going sideways. So each slice, which is just a circle, would go like this. And of course, it would create a circle. So in the 3D space, it would create slices of a sphere using a sinusoidal function or something. I would go like this, and it would generate a sphere. And each of these slices would be like the picture before, where it would find objects in the slice, and it would make these little map. And it would do that every single time until it made a full map.
So this is the first attempt at making a full sphere. It looks right at first, but then if you look towards the right, the sphere is like twisting into itself. So apparently the program that stitched the slices together was stitching the opposite slice together instead of the one adjacent to it. These next pictures are just me messing around with the prototype to see like what was wrong with it at the time. Now this is the first version that had a full circle and it was correctly stitched, so that's pretty big progress. But I needed to do some calculations that made sure that it wasn't continuously stitching the same stuff together, so it doesn't waste like memory or whatever. I don't really know much about computers. Here I added a floor and continued messing with the system to see what I needed to fix. This is where I stopped working on this. I've been working on it for 5 days straight, and I have literal blueprints on my desk that have handwriting that looks like it was made by a crazy person. Like, I think this thing was like genuinely making me insane. But like, it low-key made me feel like a scientist, because this is like hands down the hardest script I've ever attempted to write. The math and understanding I needed for it was so far beyond me for me to consider this as like a small little feature just to add for funsies. Like, I don't even know what I was thinking. Like, bro, I just wasted like 5 days of my time. Like, keep in mind that I was trying to add this just 1 year into development. Like, bro, this guy's actually doing too much. Cause like, for development, you can't really like add just that pivotal of a feature just midway through. Well, I guess you can, but it's just risky, you know? You gotta like know for sure that this is an important thing. And so what I learned was just maybe to hesitate on making like crazy scripts like that, just so I don't waste my time. So I just went on YouTube and I started watching stealth games like Thief and Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. I've only played Thief and I haven't even finished it, so I'm low-key LARPing these games. But anyways, like, the shadows in those games completely hides the character, just like in mine. I didn't know how to make the shadows actually hide the player in low quality and also high quality. Because the thing is, those games are single player, so they can control like, oh, the AI does not see this guy because he's in the shadows. But I can't do that because like humans have like eyes and stuff, so like they can just see the guy. Because these AIs are made to be like not realistic but consistent. Consistent in how they don't see when you're in the shadow, but not realistic to where they try to make it impossible for you to escape or to just stealth around. But one day I just itched my genius spot and I realized, wait, what if I just make the player invisible when they're in the shadow? Bruh. So immediately I threw away my blueprint with tear stains on them and I got to work on this new system. Two days would pass and I'd create a system where players have a server visibility and a client visibility. The server visibility controls what other players see. So if you're invisible on the server, then other players will not be able to see you. However, the client visibility works differently. It controls what you see. So if you are visible on the client, then you'll be able to see yourself. But other players will only see what your server visibility is. One of my favorite parts about this system is how it encourages players to use their environment. Whether that's breaking generators to create more darkness, or maneuvering through shadows only, it sort of creates this feeling like you're a ninja that makes their own path towards success. Sort of like jumping around obstacles, diving into shadows. It's just, I don't know, I was playing my game like by myself, just like jumping around, and I low-key felt kind of cool doing it. I think that just might be like my ego or something. That being said, that's the end of this small dev vlog. If you have any questions, suggestions, feel free to comment down below. If you'd like to test my game, please join my Discord server. I'm like kind of nice and tough like that. I don't know. Thank you for watching.